بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وحييكم إخواني وأخواتي فأقول لكم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم إلى درسنا السابع أو الثامن والعشرون. نعم، إلى درسنا 28. اليوم إن شاء الله سوف نتكلم عن العطف، حروف العطف. وقبل هذا الدرس تكلمنا عن الأسماء الخمسة. I hope that you can remember in the previous class we spoke about the 5 special nouns. Was that the last class? Yeah. So the 5 special nouns. Can anyone tell me what these 5 special nouns are? Identify them quickly. Akhun, meaning brother. Abun, meaning father. Hamun, father-in-law. Famun, mouth. And dhu. All right. So we mentioned that these nouns, they are called the al-asma'ul khamsa, or the 5 special nouns. Why? Because they have certain rules that must be followed and must go with them. All right. So while they could stand alone by themselves, except with the word dhu must have a noun here coming after. All right? Meaning possessor of. This word means possessor of. So it has to be, something else has to come here, a noun. Then, but the others, akh, ab, ham, and fam, all right? These 4, they could stand by themselves in a sentence. But dhu cannot stand by herself. She has to go with another word. That's one. Then secondly, we said that akh, if it is used as mudaf, like you have the word akh and you have another noun, you want to say brother of, so you're using the of phrase construction or the possessive case basically. All right? The possessive case for the 3 of them, all right, here, they take an extra waw. So akhu, we don't say akh Muhammad. We don't do it like this. We have to put in an extra waw. All right? So we have to say akhu Muhammad. Okay? Akhu Muhammad. And likewise, Abu Muhammad. Hamu Muhammad. All right? Fam, different also. All right? So that's one. Then we said that these nouns, these 5 nouns, they are in the nominative case with the waw. So you recognize the case of the noun by looking, and you'll be looking out to see whether there is a waw here, or an alif, or a ya. Those are the 3 letters basically that you will see coming after these 3 letters. And those letters are the letters that actually indicate to the reader the case of those nouns. All right? Unlike the other nouns, which we said, the other nouns are nominative with dhamma, and accusative with fatha, and genitive with the kasra. All right? So al-asma'ul khamsa, all right, these nouns will be nominative with waw, accusative with alif, and genitive with ya. Likewise, the dhu can become dha. All right? Dha. All right? And then you have dhawa. All right? And dhawu for plural. And dhata for feminine. All right? And then you have Zawata. All right? And you have, that's it. Dhata and Zawata, like Zawata Afnan. All right? So, yes. So, I think we had mentioned enough about the 5 special nouns, and we want to talk today about conjunctions. So, conjunctions are words that we use on a daily basis in our everyday speech, even though sometimes some people may not know the difference between a conjunction and a preposition and so on, even though we speak the language fluently, all right, the English. And also in Arabic, we have to know what is a conjunction basically. And so in Arabic, conjunction is called al-atf. All right, al-atf. Al-atf. Atfu means the conjunction. All right. So the conjunction is a word, small word, that joins 2 or more words or phrases or sentences, basically, together. So if I say, for example, Muhammad and Shakir and Ahmad and Abdullah and Hanif came to class. So we're using the word and. We're using and we're using the verb only one time. So we're talking about coming, and we mention a number of names, and all of them did the same action without I having to repeat the action at each one of them. So I do not say Muhammad came and Shakir came and Abdullah came and Hanif came. But I just say Muhammad and Shakir and Hanif and Abdullah came. Use the verb only one time. But joining these words, I have used and between each noun. All right? So the and is called a conjunction because that's what it does. All right? Also, if I were to say Muhammad came, then Shakir came, then Hanif came, then, all right? I could say came only one time also. I can say Muhammad came, then Shakir, then Hanif, then Abdullah, then. So then is a conjunction joining the words together, and they're all attributed to the same action of what the first one did. All right, so that's really what a conjunction is. All right, it's called atf. All right, so the words that we are going to identify, they are called huruful atf, which means the words of conjunction, basically. The huruf means the letters or the words of conjunction. What are the conjunctions, basically? We are going to identify them. So the first one that we want to identify is, number 1, is al-waw. Al-waw is the letter waw. Right? Al-waw. Al-waw. All right? So I guess all of you know that all the letters of the alphabet, you could actually spell them out. You know that? So like you have alif, the letter alif, but the spelling of it is alif. Alif. All right? The letter ba is ba, and a hamza there. ba, ta, wow. So jim, for example, jim, all right, jim, right, and so on. So all letters, you can actually spell them out. So al-waw means the letter waw, okay? So that's the first one. This letter waw, you need to write that down, does not indicate any chronological order. All right? It just joins words together or phrases or sentences. All right? So there is no chronological order. And of course, the waw means and. All right? So that is as much I'm going to write here, and. All right? The meaning of wa is and. And. So when I say Muhammad and Shakir and Hanif and Abdullah and Jasmine and Asiya came to class, all right, it does not indicate any kind of order because I mentioned the names in a specific order. But the fact is that they all came to class, all right? So that is what the waw does, basically, all right? The waw puts the words together and they follow the same ruling, whatever action it is, for example, and it does not indicate any chronological order, meaning that when I said Muhammad and Shakir and Hanif and Abdullah came, that it means that Muhammad came first and then Shakir, and no. The waw does not indicate that at all. It is just establishing the fact that they all came, and that's all. All right? Good. You can look at an example of this in Surah 2, Ayah 197. All right, so let me check Surah 2, and it's Ayah 197. Six 197. Al-Hajju ashhurun ma'lumat. Faman farada fihin al-Hajj fala rafatha wala fusuqa wala jidala fil Hajj. All right? Now, I will write that and then I will give some further explanation. So, this is an indication that there are some words here before. And our point of reference in this quotation is, let me write it here because we need the space here for others. Fala rafatha wala fusuqa wala jidala. All right? Wala jidala fil Hajj. All right? So we have our waw here. We have a waw here. All right? So, فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجِّ. So, whosoever is performing the Hajj, all right, there must be no rafath, and none of this, and none of that. All right? So, we have the waw coming between that. All right? No fighting, no obscenity, no quarreling when you go for Hajj. All right? Because you're the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to behave in a certain way. All right? And you not behave in an ignorant manner. All right? So basically, that is what the ayah is telling us. I want to say also that when you are reading right in that same ayah, all right, you have a waw coming after that. It says, وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمُهُ اللَّهُ. And then you have a next waw, وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. And then there's a next waw, وَاتَّقُونِ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. So you have different wows. But now, these other wows are not the same. So then you will come to realize that there are different types of wows. So you say, wow, that is something to marvel at. Wow, there are many wows. So you will have a wow, like for example, a surah beginning with a wow. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَالْعَصْرِ وَالشَّمْسِ وَالضُّحَى. All in beginning with wow. It's a different wow. It's not atf. That is called waw al-qasam. It's a waw of oath. All right? In Surah Al-Zumar, that will be chapter 39 of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about the people who will be going to Jannah. All right? And they say, حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءُوهَا وَفُتِحَتْ أَبْوَابُهَا. All right? So you have that waw there. That's a different waw. So it's not the waw al-atifa. It is not a conjunction. Neither it is waw al-qasam. It's a different waw. It's called waw al-hal. And the condition of which it will be. All right? Then you may have a different waw again. You have waw al-isti'naf. There is a new idea. A new, not connecting to what was mentioned previously. So you have all kinds of different wows. So that is another level of Arabic grammar, which we will not be touching on today. But I'm just showing you, in case you see wows and you want to know how come the words coming afterwards, they're not like the same and following the same rules. It is because it is not the same type of wow. Even though they look like it's wow, the letter wow, you can see it in front of you, but still it is not the same. Just like in the English language. I have mentioned that in previous classes already. You have the word that. What part of speech is the word that? That, you say, okay, that boy, a demonstrative pronoun. All right? I told you that I was coming. It's a different that. I told him that I was coming. That's a different that. It's not a demonstrative pronoun. The book that is on the desk is mine. That's a different that again. That's a relative pronoun. So you have different types of that. All right? Or which, and so on. So in the Arabic language, you have similar things, you know. But it's all depending on how dependent on how it was used in the sentence, or we'll say in the ayah. All right? So that's, you know, enough for the wow. What you have to remember for wow is that wow joins the words or the phrases or the sentences, and whatever come after the wow will take the same ruling of what came before. All right? I think that's enough, and you have a reference from the Quran. Then we move on to the second conjunction, and that is the word aw. Aw. Aw means or, O-R. Aw gives you a choice in a matter. All right? So I can say, for example, اجلس أو قم أو اخرج. So I say sit, اجلس أو قم or stand up أو اخرج or go. أو. All right? So basically أو is or. All right? I could say, for example, تعال يا محمد أو شكير. تعال يا محمد أو شكير. Come Muhammad or Shakir. You have a choice in the matter. One of you come. All right? So that's basically aw gives you a choice in the matter. All right? And sometimes we are given choices in the Quran when we have to expiate for maybe a sin that we commit, or if we have to do something and we are given a choice. All right? So for example, we are told in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to fast. And then after the ayah that talks about يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا. All right, so let's write that part. فمن. So we have a few things here. فمن كان منكم مريضا. All right. أو. We have أو here. على سفر. سفر. فعدة من أيام أخرى. Okay. So who sick from you min kum. Right? Is maridan, sick, or on a journey, safarin, preposition negative, right? Genitive case. So we have aw. فعدة من أيام أخر. All right? So you could make up for it for other days. So it's either you're sick or you're on a journey. These are two excuses that allow you not to fast. Gives you the permission of not fasting. You have a permission for not fasting. It's either this one or that one. You're either sick or you're on a journey. All right? So if the month of Ramadan comes and somebody, well, a Muslim fasting, right? But you see a Muslim and the person is not fasting. The first thing you would think about the person is say, well, maybe he's sick. Or if he's not sick, he's a traveler. Maybe he comes from another country. All right? And he's here now, let's say in Trinidad. All right? So that's what you might think if the person, is, of course, a practicing Muslim. All right? So you have Surah 2, Ayah 184, and also the same Surah 196. All right? 184 and 196. You have aw, and plus you have other parts of the Quran where you will see aw. All right? Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you. And also in the ahadith, you have many times the word aw is used. For example, when you have to expiate for a sin. So you either fast for a number of days, aw, or you feed, or you, like you free some slaves, or you fast, or you pay some charity, or, right? Aw. Right? So aw basically gives you a choice in a matter. It gives you an option. It's an optional thing. Do you do this or that or that or that? Okay, that's it for aw. And after aw, we have the letter fa. Fa. So we have number 3 is al fa, which is the letter fa. All right? And fa fatha. So it means so or then. All right? It could also mean as for, depending on the context in which it is used. All right? But fa gives you a kind of a chronological order with a short span of time. All right? With a short span of time. All right? So if I say, Ja'a Muhammadun fa Shakirun fa Abdullah fa Hanif. It means that Muhammad came first, and then Shakir, and then Hanif, and then Abdullah. So it gives a chronological order. And it also tells us, implies to us, the duration. It is a short span of time when you came afterwards. So when I say Ja'a Muhammadun Fashakir, it's like soon after. Soon after Shakir came. And then soon after, the next one came. And then soon after, the other one came. So the duration is a short duration. All right? And you have in many parts of the Quran, what will be very good to look at, and the time would not permit us to look at, but in Surah Al-Mu'minun, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about some aspect of the development of the embryo, all right? You will have the fa, and you have the next conjunction, which is thumma, which is the next one we're going to talk about. All right? But an example of the fa, you could probably look at in Surah Al-Qari'ah. فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ. All right? So, فَأَمَّا, and as for, and amma is also one of the words. We're going to look at conjunction. Man, who, thaqula. Thaqula means what? To become heavy. From thaqil. Thaqula is the verb. Thaqulat mawazinuhu. Because the scales. Mawazinuhu. Fahuwa. Yeah, fahuwa. So he. Fa means so, right? Fi ishatin radiyah. So that could be interpreted to mean, different ways. Like if as soon as the person who dies, let's say for example, all right, if the person's life was one that was filled with good deeds, the scale will be heavy, then from the time he is buried, he is fi ishatin radiyah. Right? And our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Al-qabru awwalu manazil al-akhirah. Imma rawdatun min riyad al-jannah aw hufratun min an-nar. It is either a garden from the gardens of paradise. So that fa could also give an indication, that is an understanding of it, that soon after, not long after, when you die, khalas, you're in ishatin radiyah, you are in a pleasing life, living, right? Pleasing, radiyah. Right? And from, well, the word radiyah from the word radiyah, which means to be pleased. And then you could get the active participle. Right? You remember? We said before, like when you have a verb, all of these are revision. I don't want you all to forget. So if you have a verb, all right, radiyah, radiyah, all right? Just like any other verb like jalasa and so on. What we said, if you want to get the active participle, the doer of it, of the action, you add an extra alif. So you get ra, right? Ra, let's say it's radin, but let me say radi then. Right? Radi. Good, it's radin, but we'll say radi. I don't want to get too complicated. Okay, so radi is masculine. But it says فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ عِيشَةٍ. This here, right, is a feminine noun. So this has to become feminine. All right? And that is why you have, so ishatin and then radiyatin. Okay? So it's a pleasing life. But we are talking about the fa. Fahuwa. Right? فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ. So that's one. You could also check Surah 2, Ayah 36. Let's see what Surah 2, Ayah 36 says. Surah 2, Ayah 36. Let me see. فَأَزَلَّهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ. عنها فأخرجهما مما كان فيه. Right? فأزلهما الشيطان فأزلهما الشيطان فأخرجهما مما كانا فيه. Alright? So فأزلهما الشيطان. Right? فأخرجهما. So we have the fa here and this fa. Alright? So then shaitan caused them to slide. The two of them, Adam and Eve, huma. فأخرجهما. And he caused the two of them to come out. Mimma kana. Min, from, and ma. Mimma. Kana. The two of them were in. Alright? So we have the fa there, Surah 2, Ayah 36. And you have many other parts in the Quran. Alright? Maybe Surah Takathur, you might have also, and so on. So maybe you can look and tell me some more examples, inshallah ta'ala. Alright? So after the fa is the next word, which is thumma. Alright? Thumma also means then, just like that. So the next word is thumma. Thumma means then. The difference between the fa, which means then, and thumma, both of them indicate sequence. All right? So, however it was mentioned, the sequence of the words or the ayat, or the phrases or the sentences, the same sequence has to be maintained, because this is what the fa and the thumma they do. There is a sequence. But the difference now between the two of them then is that thumma has a longer duration of span of time. All right? So if I say Ja'a Muhammad thumma Shakir, it means after some time. All right? Not immediately after, like the fa. If I say Ja'a Muhammad fa Shakir, it means Shakir came immediately after. But if I say thumma Shakir, it means sometime later on. All right? So that is what thumma is. All right? And then you have in Surah Al-Takathur also has Kalla sawfa ta'lamun. You have thumma Kalla sawfa ta'lamun. Right? So when a person dies, all right, you die, bury, and so on, they will get to know what's going on. They'll get to know, realize when they're in the grave. And then after some time, thumma, again, is a different scenario. It's a different scenario again. Thumma, all right, kalla sawfa ta'lamun. Then a different phase of what happens later on after the grave. That is the next. And then you have thumma, then after again, latus'alunna yawma idhin 'anil na'im. So you have the thumma, but each one, so it's a sequence, chronological, and then you have different things. All right? So Surah Al-Takathur, you can find thumma. And I want you to look at which surah I told you, Surah 23 of the Quran, which will be Surah Al-Mu'minun, all right, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about, all right, the creation. He says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ min tin, right? So we have created the human being from sulala and from clay, all right? ثم جعلناه, ثم, then, جعلناه نطفة في قرار مكين, then we made him as a nutfa drop in a firm place. ثم, then, خلقنا النطفة, then we created a nutfa, علقة, we made it something hanging, all right? fa, and now we have a fa, فخلقنا العلقة, and then soon afterwards from the alaqa, mudgha, a chewed light, fa, again, fa, خلقنا المدغة عظاما, fa, kasawna. So these the scholars or the scientists of embryology and anatomy will give us more details of the span of time, the duration of one phase to another phase to another phase, when, you know, and they will be able to better explain in more details. But as a student of the Arabic language, we are just observing and seeing how these conjunctions are used, and based on the little information that we are getting about them, at least we can have a little idea, which will supposed to maybe push us to do some more research now and to delve into more details if you want a clearer understanding of many of the verses of the Quran. In any part where you see all of these rules that what you're learning, if you want to get more in-depth knowledge, you have to do more researches to better appreciate and to enjoy the beauty of these ayat, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also many of the sayings of our beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The next word we want to look at is the word all right? So also means or. It also means or. The difference between this one and this is is used with negative. It's a negative sentence, or if it's an interrogative statement, like a question. All right? Like in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ. So it's a question like, أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ, whether you have warned them. Lam tunzirhum, or you did not warn them. La yu'minun. The two of them is like the same, right? So means or, but it is used when the statement is negative. All right? So we could probably look at that beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, right at the very beginning of chapter 2 of the Quran. We can see it clearly. And also you can find it in Surah Yasin, right? So this is the ayah number 6 of Surah Al-Baqarah, right? Inna alladhina kafaru, verily, alladhina kafaru, those who disbelieve, sawa'un alayhim, equal unto them. It is the same unto them. A'anzartahum, whether you, anta, right? Anzartahum, them, whether you warn them, or lam tunzirhum, lam, you did not warn them. La yu'minun, they did not believe. All right, they will not believe. And also in Surah Yasin and many other parts of the Quran, you will see when the statement is negative, you will see the word lam. Not lam. Lam is a particle that comes before the imperfect tense verb, which makes it negative, and it actually means past tense. All right, and it puts the verb in a different mood. It's called a jussive mood. We will do all of those rules in the next module, inshallah ta'ala. So if I say ma dhahaba is the same as lam yadhhab. Ma dhahaba means he did not go. And if you're using the imperfect tense, yadhhab, you put lam, it is the same as ma dhahaba. All right? So lam it goes only with the imperfect tense verb, the present tense verb, but it negates it. That is lam. We will talk about that in other class. We're not talking, lam is not a conjunction, okay? So the word we're talking about is and not lam. All right? So what you have to remember about it means or. The difference between aw and is that is for negative sentences or interrogative, all right, questions, all right? You will see it from hal or coming at the beginning. Okay, the next word we want to look at is the word lakin or lakinna, all right? So the next word is lakin. So maybe we could look at number 6 across here is lakin. Lakin is written like this. All right, lakin. And it has a little alif there, lakin. But. Or it could also be lakinna. It means but. All right? It have more than one meanings. It means but, it means however, all right? However. And it could also mean except. So it could mean except, however, all right? Lakin. I remember more than 40 years ago as a student learning Arabic. All right? There was a student from Africa in my class, and we were doing conjunctions. So after the teacher had explained the word lakin, he asked the students to make sentences, make up sentences. So this student from Africa, he said, Allahu ghafurun rahim, ghafurun rahimun, lakin shadidul iqab. So Allah is most forgiving and most merciful, but He is severe in punishment. So the teacher said, MashaAllah, min ayna anta ya akhi? Min ayna anta? Min ayyi bilad anta? Uktubu, all of you, start writing. Write down this. And then he wrote it on the board. There are certain things when teachers sometimes, or something happens in a class, you can remember it. It doesn't go at all. And this is one of the things, right? One of the sentences that was mentioned so many years ago. That would have been maybe about 47 years ago or more. Right? So lakin, it means but, however. All right? I have examples, all right, from the Quran, but basically it used to express an exception. Right? It is used to express an exception of what was mentioned before. All right? Next is the word bal. Inshallah, we will look at some more examples. This is the next word, bal. Bal means no, nay. Sometimes we say nay. Bal. All right? And it also means but. All right? Bal. Bal al-idrab. It means it cancels out what was mentioned before, and it is a new idea. Bal. Right? And you have some examples from the Quran. All right? From Surah Al-Buruj, بل الذين كفروا في تكذيب بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا. Right? Nay, but no, you prefer this worldly life. والآخرة خير وأبقى. Right? بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى. So we talk about we didn't talk about that as yet. No, we didn't talk about the comparison. Comparison is the next class. Right? But I was going to talk about the word khayr. وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. The hereafter is khayrun, means not good but better. All right? Yeah. And you have بَلِ الْإِنسان بَلْ يُرِيدُ الْإِنسان لِيَفْجُرَ أَمَامَهُ. All right? In Surah Al-Qiyamah. بَلِ الْإِنسان يُرِيدُ أَنْ يَفْجُرَ أَمَامَهُ. Nay, but man wants to continue in his sins in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right? That is Surah 75, ayah number 5. You all could go back and read some of these. Let me just write the references for you, and you can go and check them out. All right? Surah 85. All right? And it is ayah number 19. 85, 19. And 87, 16. All right? So, بل الذين كفروا في تكذيب والله what? والله من ورائهم محيط. Right? Surah Al-Buruj. Right? Yeah. And you have Surah 75, ayah 5. And you have some other places and so on. That should be enough. All right? The next one is the word hatta. Hatta. Hatta means until, or even, up to. All right? Hatta. It could also mean including. All right? Hatta. So until is like salaamun here, hatta matla' al-fajr. All right? Salaamun, peace, like in Surah Al-Qadr, peace it is. Here, the night that is. Hatta matla' al-fajr, until the break of dawn. So you have hatta. All right. وَلَا تَحْلِكُوا رُؤُوسَكُمْ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْهَدْيُ مَحِلَّهُ. So that is from Surah Al-Baqarah for people who are going for Hajj. Surah 2, ayah 196. وَلَا تَحْلِكُوا رُؤُوسَكُمْ, and don't shave your heads until حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْهَدْيُ مَحِلَّهُ, until the sacrificial animal reaches its place. All right? So that's why if you want to do it in the correct sequence and order on the day of Hajj, you do the sacrifice first. Or the sacrifice is done for you first. You find out when it was done. And then you go and shave your head. All right? So that will be Surah 2, ayah 196. And we have two more, inshallah, and we completed two more, and then that will be the end of today's class. The next two are amma. Amma means as for. As for. Wa amma man, right? Thaqulat. Or fa amma man thaqulat mawazinu. You have the fa attached to the amma, right? So amma really means as for what? All right? وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Surah Al-Nazi'at, which will be chapter 79 of the Quran. All right? And it's coming on to the end of this surah. You can check the number of the ayah. I did not write it. All right? But it has وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ. Maybe I can check it very quickly for you. All right? Surah Al-Nazi'at. وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى. Right? So it's 41. Surah 79. Right? Surah Al-Nazi'at. So we have at the beginning of the ayah وَأَمَّا مَنْ. Right? And you can look out for some more of the word amma in other, parts of the last juz. I'm sure you're going to find some. All right? So amma means as for. And the last one is إِذَا. إِذَا. So number 10 is إِذَا. إِذَا means when or if. All right? You can give an example of إِذَا from the last juz of the Quran. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. Right? It's conjunction. So these are some, 10 conjunctions that were mentioned. And you can go through and find some more of them, some more of the examples I meant. From the last juz or any other part of the Quran where you read, you look out for them and you see how they are used. Okay, so I think we're going to stop here today. We are 5 minutes, I think, already today. All right, we have exhausted some of the references because I didn't have enough time to look at more references. All right. What you would notice also about these conjunctions is that, like the fa, for example, will be attached to the word that comes after it. The waw cannot be attached because waw does not allow attachment. All right? It is one of the 6 letters that do not allow attachment. You can't join a letter to the letter waw. All right? Aw also, because waw is the end of it, so it would not be attached. Thumma stands by herself. She is not attached. Am is also not attached. All right? Lakinna, this can be attached. All right? They can be attached. This does not attach. Hatta is not attached. Amma is not attached. Idha is not attached because this is alif maqsoor, this is alif here, alif. They do not allow attachment. All right? So basically, in terms of attachment, majority of them, they do not attach to other words. All right? So I think that's all we have for tonight, inshallah. And we will close off for here. Jazakumullah khairan wa barakallahu feekum wa nashkurukum المشاهدون الذين يشاهدون في كل أنحاء العالم. نشكركم للمطالعة والمشاهدة ونرجو منكم إن شاء الله أن تكتبوا أسئلتكم على الواتس أو على الرابط على اليوتيوب إن شاء الله وسوف نحاول أن نجيب على أسئلتكم إن شاء الله تعالى. For those of you who are viewing online, if you have any questions, I thank you first of all for viewing And I hope, inshallah, if you have any questions, that you can either WhatsApp me or you could send your questions to the link that we have, and inshallah we will try to answer them. Barakallahu fikum, jazakumullah khairan, wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.